Welcome to the Circuit of Success Podcast.
The Circuit of Success Podcast.
With your host,
Brett Gilliland.
Brett Gilliland, Visionary Wealth Advisory.
The Circuit of Success Podcast. Let's start the show.
Welcome to the Circuit of Success. I'm your host, Brett Gilliland, and today I've got Jim Holtgrieve with me. Jim, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Brett. How are you?
I'm great. I got to say thank you to Greg Mulliken for introducing us. It was awesome. He was at a dinner with you and somehow got your number and somehow text messaged us, and now here we are together on the Circuit of Success Podcast.
Well, I've certainly heard a lot of good things about you, and so it's an honor to be here. I mean, I love talking golf. I'm not good at giving speeches, but I'm good at answering questions.
That's good. Well, that's exactly what we're going to do today. So every podcast, though, I always start off, Jim, with just really what's helped make you the man you are today, because there's a lot of research I could do, but that's some of the stuff I can't research that.
Well, I mean, that's a pretty direct question.
It's right out of the gates, isn't it?
I made some good decisions in my life. I made some bad decisions, but thank goodness I had the right decisions. When I flunked out of Mizzou and my draft number was not good, I enlisted in the United States Air Force. So I was there for 4 years, and probably one of the best things I did, because I learned about respect and humility, and things really kind of took off from there. That when I got transferred to Oahu at Hickam Air Force Base, and learned how to play a little bit more better golf, and then came back here and went to work for my father. But I've had two really good friends of mine, Tom Case and John Moore, who have got me involved with the Lord, and so I've kind of made some good decisions, and I'm trying to, as I always say, that the time that I've had with Mr. Palmer, he said, Jim, there's two things in life. You never forget where you came from, and you always give back. And that's what I want to do. I want to try to give back.
That's awesome. Well, I didn't say this earlier, but born and raised in St. Louis, went to Mizzou, as you mentioned, won the first Mid-Am. It's pretty amazing. So golf, Mid-Am golf in 1981, second in the British Amateur in 80. I'm sorry, I don't remember what year, 83, I
83.
think. Right, yep, 83. And then 80 and 82, the Eisenhower Trophy. The USAM, you're in the top four. 3 Walker Cups as a player and captain of 2001, 2013 Walker Cup as well. So those that don't know, the Walker Cup is what the Ryder Cup is for the pros. The Walker Cup is basically for the amateurs, correct?
For the amateur golfer.
Yeah,
it was started by George Herbert Walker in St. Louis, Missouri.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Right on hole number 1 at St. Louis Country Club, right? Close to his house was there or something, wasn't it?
Well, and that's where Mr. Jones used to play when they came back and played in the U.S. Open there at St. Louis Country Club.
Wow.
So it's there's a lot of history at St. Louis Country Club, and what George Herbert Walker did. It's a very first team competition, Walker Cup, and then Ryder Cup, and Solheim Cup, Curtis Cup, President's Cup. Those all came after the Walker Cup. But what George Herbert Walker did, as I competed 3 times, and it was always about winning, which that's one of the things that I've tried to change. I've tried to be a little bit more respectful because all I want to do is a win. But when I learned about what George Herbert Walker started and why he started it, I really turned it around a lot to make sure that my guys on the 11 and 13 teams really enjoyed the experience and would not forget being able to play and meet gentlemen from UK, United Kingdom, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales, and people from around the United States. And to have this experience to represent your country, which I've always said there's no greater honor in any sport than to play for your country. So it was really important to me. The media, I got in a little trouble with the media because I always said, hey, everybody wants to win, but that's not what George Herbert Walker did. He did the Walker Cup to try to bring 2 continents back together after horrific World War I in 1917. So, and it's been very, very successful.
That's great. Awesome. Very cool. And then you also played in the Masters 5 times.
Yes.
Talk about that. I mean, it's...
Well, Mr. Jones obviously started Augusta National, started the Masters with Clifford Roberts, and it was Mr. Jones who put the Walker Cup team in the Masters back in 1934, and because he always wanted an amateur to win the Masters. And so when I made the Walker Cup team in '79, only because back then the Walker Cup was hosted in May of the year. And so the Walker Cup in 1979 was at Muirfield, and Jody Mudd and Mark O'Mara and Bobby Clampett,
Wow.
who all had golf scholarships to college, and the NC2A was the exact time as the Walker Cup, and they got invited first to play Walker Cup, and they turned it down because they wanted to go to honor their college. And so the fourth guy on the list was me. So every time I see those guys, I thank them for not for not taking, because I probably would have never made Walker Cup.
Right.
And then so I made the team in '79, and I knew you got invited to the Masters, so I got invited to the 1980 Masters, and I made the cut, and it was everything just took off from there. I mean, to go play and play the Masters and make the cut, a steel salesman, a punk kid from St. Louis, Missouri, it was incredible, and so the journey started.
Yeah.
Started.
Who was your playing partner the first round?
Gabe Brewer was the very first on Thursday. Gabe Brewer, and they always, back then, they always put past amateur champions with the past Masters champions with the amateurs who were playing. So
They still do that, don't they?
not really.
No?
From what I think they do, but now there's threesomes. There's
Yeah,
not
that's right.
twosomes.
Yeah.
Because '81 I got a chance to play with Mr. Palmer.
Arnold
And-
Palmer at Augusta National.
Yeah, and then I got a chance with Mr. Nicklaus in '83.
Wow.
So,
Literally the greats of the game, and here you are playing at the greatest place on earth.
I know, and it just was just overwhelming. And Mr. Palmer was so nice to me. And I mean, my life I had a chance to play 97 holes of golf with him, and he was just a very, very special man for me.
That's amazing. Magnolia Drive, what was that like?
There's no other drive like it.
Yeah.
I mean, and the great thing about it is, I get the invitation to play the Masters at Christmas time, and you're allowed to go to Augusta National every day if you want until the Masters.
Wow.
I went a weekend in January, a weekend in February, a weekend in March. I met my other Walker Cup players, and we played over the weekend. We worked because I was working, so, but and we didn't get a bill, didn't get an invoice for what we spent until after the Masters. But to go there and just play, and see all the history, and it was really something.
That's amazing. Well, that's got to be a little pinch me moment still, right? After all these years?
Well, it's funny you say that because I'm actually wanting to try to get the Walker Cup put back into the Masters because it was taken out because they think that it's gotten too busy, and the fact that they're saying that we can't get the best players in the world to come play in the Masters. I say, are you kidding me? The best players in the world are going to want to come to play the Masters.
Yeah.
But that's the reason why I think we're having a tough time. I'm worried about Walker Cup history because of NIL and all the stuff going on with amateur sport and with basketball and football, and so it's I get worried about it. And I think the one way I think we could help it would be to put the Walker Cup team back in the Masters, and then some of the young players would say, "Hey, I got a chance to go play Augusta."
Yeah.
But I'm not sure how that's all going to work out.
Uphill battle, maybe.
Uphill battle, for sure.
Well, I had lunch with a mutual friend, Chris Pronger, and he told me to see where are you laughing, Chris? And he told me to ask you a story about Pine Valley. Wouldn't tell me what he was talking about.
Well, Chris Pronger has been very, very kind to me, and I watched him play some hockey, and I know he's really tough, but I'll tell you what, his heart is...
It's in the right spot.
It's in the right spot, and to play golf with him is a huge honor for me. But I got a chance to take he and Ozzie Smith with Mr. Albrecht to Pine Valley, and I've always told every time I take a guest to come to the 10th hole, which is, it's, all the golf holes at Pine Valley are named, but the one I always remember is at number 10, where it's called the Devil's Asshole, because it's a short par 3, but short right of the green is a bunker that's about 12 feet deep. And it's very, very hard, because it's probably about maybe a little bit wider than this table. It's not that it's not wide at all. It's so you're really gotta be very, because you hit the sand going back. But anyway, so I was I wasn't hoping he would do it, but he didn't do it on purpose. He hit it in the bunker, and to see that 6 foot. What is he, 6'8"?
6'8", something, yeah.
So get in that bunker that's, I've got a picture of it, and I got to find it for you, but it was to see him in there, and I took a photo of him trying to hit it out, and as they were walking down to the bunker, his caddy said, I got a way for you to do this. And he got a hybrid out, and he popped the hybrid, and the ball came out, which everybody else gets in there with a
60
sandwich, 60 degree. But no, he pops it out and he makes a good 4. And I said, you got to be kidding me. I haven't seen anybody do that. And I said, you're a hockey guy. How do you do that? So anyway,
that's great.
It was a great story, and we always talk about it.
It's fun watching him play golf, man. That lefty swing, he's so tall and big, and it's just like, man alive. It's so it's good. And I'm glad Chris didn't tell me the story. I got to hear it for myself. When you look back at your playing days, and you've had a great career, and when you think about that, what do you think was different? Because not everybody, I shouldn't say that. A lot of people can make a good golf swing. A lot of people can make putts. But to win the things that you've done and go to the Masters, and then even the people that you were the captain of their team, I'm thinking the Jordan Spieth of the world, what do those guys do to go to the next level?
Well, as when I qualified when I won the St. Louis District Championship in Glen Echo in 1977, and I beat a guy by the name of Tim Crowley, who was a very dear friend. And when I won, I'm going to back up and tell you how this. When I was in the Air Force, I won my last year of the Air Force was 1972. I was at Hickam Air Force Base. I played in a tournament called the Army Open. All the top pros, all the top amateurs in Hawaii, all the islands came over to play in this tournament. It's up at Leilahua golf course, and I won this tournament. And I called my pro at Westboro Country Club, Tony Henschel, and I said, Tony, I just won a really big tournament. I beat all the pros and all the amateurs. I want to turn pro. I said, could you get me some money? Because at that time, Jim Fox was the member at Westboro, and two of his clients were Stan Musial and Ben Kerner, who used to own the St. Louis Hawks. Mm-hmm. And Tony writes me a letter back. He said, Jim, I got you $25,000 from Mr. Musial. I got you $25,000 from Ben Kerner. However, other than winning a couple of junior tournaments and peewee tournaments here at Westboro Country Club, you've never done anything. I suggest you come back and prove yourself first. So,
wow,
second best decision I made after joining the Air Force. And I came back, went to work for my father, and we were a manufacturer's agent. So basically, I had a lot of opportunity to go take off and play golf.
Yeah.
And as I was playing, and as I was back then I hit the ball a long way, but I was getting beat by these people because my putting and chipping wasn't very good. So I said, if you're going to be any good, you got to work on putting and chipping.
Yep.
So that's what I did. And as I beat Mr. Crowley, and I'm very fortunate to let him, because on the 18th green, my caddy is Tom O'Toole, who was president of the USGA, very dear friend. A lot of this wouldn't happen for me without him, but I got Tim Crowley one down playing the 18th hole, and I got a putt that's probably about 2 feet, and all of a sudden it starts to rain. And I got this 2-foot putt to win the match. And then I know that I can get into the finals. And I called Tom O'Toole over because it was pouring down rain. And he held the umbrella over my head. And I knocked it in, and I'm walking off the green, and a rules official starts walking up to me, and I go, "Oh my gosh, I just cheated. Tim, let's go to the first tee." And he said, "No." I said, "Tim, I just cheated, and I lose the hole. We're going to the first tee for sudden death playoff." No, I'm not going. You beat me. I said, "Tim." He said, "Jim, I'm not going." And I always say this, Tim. I always say this, that maybe if it wasn't for Tim Crowley, I may have not won. I may have lost the first hole.
Yeah.
And maybe I'd be a steel salesman for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
But it was just, it was great. And then I went on to beat Bobby Mason, and I said, okay, well, let's go see if we could take it to the next level. And I tried to qualify for the Western Amateur, which I did. And I went to try to qualify for the US Open at Westwood, which I did in 1978. And I went to the US Open at Cherry Hills, and I made the cut. Tom O'Toole was on my bag. I made the cut. Wow. And I said, okay, maybe you can do something. Went and played in the Western Amateur again, and got up to I made the Sweet 16, and it just took off from there. Yeah. It just took off.
Incredible. I didn't know that about Tom O'Toole being your caddy and all that stuff. And you think about that, I mean, then he president of the USGA and all he's done for the game of golf. It's pretty incredible.
He got involved, and he said, Jim, I'm never going to be a really good player, but I love the game. I want to get involved in it. And so I hooked him up with Tom Meeks, who was the main rules official for the USGA, and Meeks took him underneath his wing, and the rest is history. Tom O'Toole, there's no doubt in my mind that as far as being president of USGA, is one of the foremost presidents of USGA, because he knows the game from the bottom. I mean, when we started the Metropolitan Golf Association way back when, he actually got up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning to go mark golf courses. He knows it from the ground floor.
Wow. That's incredible. Where is the future of golf headed?
Well, Brett, that's really that's kind of a difficult question, as I've been reading a lot in the last couple of days about what's going on with LIV and the PGA Tour. I have been completely against LIV.
Me and you both.
Because it's those guys, as I've always said, they forgot where they came from. If it wasn't for you and John Q. Public, those guys would have not been anybody. But because of you guys making them famous, obviously they played well, and they deserve that part of it. But otherwise, they wouldn't be there. So, and I've just been reading lately that I think that it's finally, with all what the PGA Tour is doing, been reading the last couple of days about Tiger Woods says there's some differences coming. They're going to try to grow their game better. They're talking about starting it not being conflicting with the NFL, with the Super Bowl, and with all their. So they want to be separate, so that John Q. Public will go watch and pay attention to golf, rather than trying to. Well, maybe we can't watch that football game. We got to watch all that back and forth. So I think there's some big changes coming with the tour. And I really believe that unless these LIV players want to pay their way back in, that's not going to happen. Yeah. And I think somebody, the LIV tour is lost. They've lost $2 or $3 billion. They haven't made anything.
Right.
And so, going forward, I hope that we get this resolved and we move forward, and the players that are going to go forward will be thankful to John Q. Public and for all the sponsors and for all the clubs that make it possible for them to be there.
Yeah, yep. It's a boring product. That's what they got, too. I mean, I've not watched more than maybe 5 seconds of it on TV.
Me either.
It just looks like it's terrible. But What? So again, we kind of bounced around a little bit, but back to that mental side, the Jordan Spieths of the world. Talk about some of the guys that you were the captain of the team with, and the younger guys now that are playing, and what made them different than maybe some of the other guys on the team.
Well, I had in 2011, I probably had one of the best, even though I get in a lot of argument with other past captains, but probably had one of the best Walker Cup teams in regards to the players and all that they had accomplished in the game of golf. And it's just that, Jordan Spieth was truly amazing. At 17 years old, the most mature young man I've ever seen. Every time he saw my wife, he would walk up, Mrs. Holtgrieve, and it was just, he was so polite, so respectful, and he was so focused on his game. And you talk about a guy, as I talk about getting my putting and chipping, that's the reason why I had some success, because I worked hard on my putting and chipping. Back in the day, nobody could chip and putt the ball better than Jordan Spieth. Yeah. It was unbelievable how well he was at Walker Cup. A lot of people have asked me, who do you think was going to be the very first successful player off your 2011 team? I had Harris English on that team. I had Patrick Cantlay. I had Chris Williams. I had Nathan Smith. I had Patrick Rogers. But I always thought that Harris English might be the very first successful one, and he basically was. But then, obviously, Jordan just took off and went crazy.
Yeah.
And you could tell when he was playing that his focus with putting and chipping, and I've always said to everybody that if you can putt and chip, you get on the tee, you've got confidence off the tee, because if you don't hit a good tee shot or you hit a poor second shot, you can probably get it up and down 9 out of 10 times. And so all your confidence and all your focus is all maintained into one direction. And so I think that's why Jordan, I think Spieth was so good. And obviously, as life takes over, money, marriage, children, his focus, starts to change.
Yeah.
And I think that's, I'm not saying it because I haven't seen, unfortunately, I saw him at the Masters a couple of times, but haven't really seen or talked to him. I try to intertwine with them a little bit, but, they're busy. They got a family, and so I talk to their agents, and their agents come back to me all the time and say, hey, they're doing great. And but there's just the confidence and focus on these guys was really something for me to see.
Well, just a level of expectations for them too, right? And then you get that, like you said, you get that success, you get some coins in your pocket, and all of a sudden it's harder to go out and find that grind, isn't it?
It really is. That's why Scottie Scheffler is just so amazing. I mean, his game is obviously very, very good, but you could just tell that he's enjoying the game. He's focused hard and playing hard, but there's a different heart in Scotty versus some of the other guys.
Yeah, and I think that's all psychology, don't you think?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And what do you think about that?
Well, I just think that you get the focus, you get what's important. As Scotty has said, hey, this is a great game. I love it.
Right.
But that's not what my life's all about. He talks about his
faith, his family,
faith and family, and what's truly important to him. Yeah. And so I think when those things, if the money and everything takes hold, because believe me, when I went out on the senior tour, I went out only for the money.
Yeah.
And I learned the hard way that that's not what it's all about. I mean, I say I learned the hard way. I learned the good way.
Yeah.
Because that's not what I was supposed to be doing. All my Walker Cup friends and captains, every time the state amateur, Vinnie Giles and Downing Gray and all my guys who stayed amateur all their life, kind of when we get together, kind of go, well, Holtgrieve, how's your pension from the tour? All that kind of stuff. So, it sometimes if you let that part of the life take over, then the grounding is going to falter.
Recently, I was talking to a buddy of mine, Timmy Riley, who played golf at University of Illinois, had a great career there, and high school golf as well. But he was at an event, and they named the Jim Jackson Tournament Trophy after you. Talk about that. What did that mean to you?
Well, as I've said, talking with his daughter and son at that presentation, Jimmy Jackson was a very big mentor to me. He was, I played with Bob Cochran and I played with Tom Blair, but Jim Jackson was one that taught me a lot about the game and about the psychology of it, the focus of it. He was the best putter chipper I've ever seen. But he was so gracious to me and very, very helpful to me. And so when I got this call that I've won the Jackson, I think 3 times. And I haven't played the last few years, even though I said I was going to. I've basically given up competitive golf after 66 years of it because it became, I just want to have fun. After fighting, I want to go have fun. So when they told me about this, I said, oops, I got to go play. And I'm glad I played, but it just proved to me that at my age that competitive golf is over. But to play, to honor Jimmy Jackson was a big thing that I had, not that I had to do, that I wanted to do. Yep. Because I wanted to thank Jimmy and his family and obviously the district for having this tournament. And while I thought it was a little, having the trophy, but it's a huge honor and one of the biggest honors I've gotten. Yeah,
that's awesome. Talk about that I read doing some research last night. You were at a tournament and you heard about your mom's passing and your dad. And I thought that was an interesting conversation, if you're okay with talking about that.
Yeah, because as people talk about the Lord, I mean, there's no doubt that he was certainly talking to me, because I was playing. I got the sponsor exemption from Mr. Palmer at the Home Depot, and down in North Carolina, and I TPC Piper's Glen, and I was playing, and Saturday night, actually Sunday morning, I called my dad and I said, and I was like in the top 5. I was actually like in the top 3, because I was playing in the second to last group on Sunday morning, and I called and I said, Dad, I said, did my mother had Alzheimer's and dementia, and the last time I had seen her, she didn't know who I was. And so I called him. I said, Dad, did Mom pass away last night? And he said, what'd you say? I said, Dad, did Mom pass away? He said, how do you know that? I said, she did? He said, yes, she did. And I said, oh my gosh. I said, I'm packing my car. I'm driving down. They lived in Fort Myers, Florida. I said, I'm coming down. She lived in a home because Dad, she smoked, and one night almost burned the condo down. So he had to put her into a facility, and he said, no, she would want you to play. She'd want you to finish the tournament. And I said, Dad, he said, Jim. So for 17 holes, I thought about my mom. I didn't think about anything else. And I'm walking from 17 green to 18 tee, and I looked at the leaderboard for the first time, and I'm tied for first.
Oh my goodness!
And I'm thinking, okay, well, now if I win this, now I'll be set, because I'll get exemptions, and I'll get my card for at least a year, and maybe I'll get some sponsors to put some money in me. And so I said, this, all I got to do is try to make birdie on this hole, which was kind of a short par 5. And I hit a big drive. It's over. The second shot's over water. Hit a 4 under the green. didn't hit so good hitting the bunker between the green and the water, and knock it out about 50 feet. I'm fortunate enough to two-putt, so I make par. Well, then I got to worry about Bruce Fleischer. Well, he birdied 17, 18, beats me by a shot.
Oh.
And that's how it kind of just started. I said, okay, Lord, I got it. But, I won $96,000 that day.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm going to be able to get in some other tournaments. So it's okay. Well, and then, of course, then I drove down there and spent time with my father for my mother's funeral. And so it was really a compelling time for me because I was thinking about her, and then I started thinking about money, and that's not what the good Lord said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I have other, you probably don't have enough time today, but I have other examples about that.
Yeah.
That came about
share 'em.
too.
Absolutely. Share away, man. Share away. One of the things I was thinking about is how golf, it's such a great, you can learn a lot about people from golf. and from our wealth management firm, Visionary Wealth Advisors, I spend a lot of time golfing with our advisors, or maybe it's clients, but also a new potential advisor. Just go golfing, right? We're not in the office setting. You can learn a lot about somebody in 4 or 5 hours together, right? So what have you learned about yourself through the game of golf, but for off the course?
Well, as I've said, I was a punk, and I only cared about winning. If you and I were playing back in the day and you made a hole in one, I wouldn't have said a word to you. Now I'd give you a big hug and say congratulations. No, I was just, it was all about winning. I mean, that's all I wanted to do was to win. Baseball, tennis, golf. And I'm so glad I took up, you could only play one spring sport at high school, Webster Groves versus you Kirkwood people. So it was a best decision I made because I wanted to put it all on me. Every now and then, as a left-handed pitcher, every now and then I'd and my opponent would hit a fly ball to center field, and my center fielder would drop it. And we'd come in the dugout. I said, "What are you doing?"
Right.
He said, "Well, why'd you let him hit a ball like that?" And then I got in the argument with the referee in tennis. I said, "That ball's not out." And so I said, "You know what? I want to put it all on me."
Yep.
And that's one of the greatest things is because, and that's what in business, when I came back and went to work for my father as a manufacturer's agent, and I have a lot of friends who were very good friends of mine, Jay, who said I should get in the insurance business because you could, and I said, okay, yeah, but no, I'm going to work for my dad. Well, the great thing about it was that, yes, I did exactly what you said. I took clients out, I took people we represented out, and they could tell who I was, and I could tell who they were.
Yep.
Could I trust them? Could they trust me?
Yep.
Am I telling the truth, or am I lying? So that golf really helped me with my business. I think I would have probably done a lot better in the insurance, business, but I made the right decision.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad I did because I had success with the business world, and I think I made a good impression on everybody because they knew who I was, and the things that I had done to say, hey, you are good, but you're also a good man. So
yeah.
it was positive.
Yep. A lot of character building in the game of golf. And like you said, to your point, if it's all on you, that's what I loved about it, is, especially as a dad of 4 boys, and my third one's playing golf in high school, and I'm like, there's no like, hey, little Johnny should be playing over, so-and-so, and it's like, you either get the ball in the hole with less shots than that guy, or you don't.
Exactly.
Doesn't matter.
Exactly.
There's no politics in it, man.
There's no politics.
You make 3, I make 4, you're going to play.
It's right there in front of you.
That's right.
And that's
right.
what it was.
And you earn it, right? You think about, like, just pick on a Cardinal player. Pay him $20 million a year, and he bats, 200. Well, you're not going to get guaranteed $20 million a year in golf. You got to go win it every week.
You got to go win it.
Yeah.
Every time it's on you.
Yeah.
And that's why it's such a great mental game, because you get out there and you start thinking, okay, well, hey, I got one hole to go, and and everything's going to change.
Yep.
Well, you got to keep focused. That's why, in match play, I've always, if you get to be 4 or 5 up, I don't ever think that the match is over.
Yeah.
It's not over until it's over.
That's right.
So you keep fighting, you keep trying to make bars or birdies, and you keep going.
Yep.
And that's the way it was. That's the way it was for me.
It's funny because you can't get that feeling, right, when you're fighting and you're grinding. And we go on a golf trip every year, me and some of my buddies. I think it's up there. But we go to Florida every year and we play, and there's 20 of us. It's Ryder Cup style. And this year, actually, my buddy Jason Baldus down the hall here, we found out on about the middle of the 17th, a long par 5. The entire week's trip was coming down to he and I. We were on a team together, and we're playing these guys, and I'm like, I'm nervous. I haven't been like this in 25 years at the game of golf. The hands are shaking a little bit. I'm like, God, this is amazing. And so we ended up winning the 17th and 18th hole, and he had the final putt and knocked it in, and our team won. And so now all your buddies are there. It's just phenomenal to get that feeling back.
And you can't write that. You can't make that up.
No.
That's exactly why our game, to me, is the greatest game, because it's not only with you, but it's also with friends and people that you meet all over the world.
Yeah.
And we're playing the greatest game.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't make this stuff up.
So we have a trophy. It's obnoxiously large, and the winning team gets it, and then the losing team buys dinner that night and gets to fill it up. And so you're drinking out of this big old cup, and it's funny. We bounced around to a couple places, and people are like, I want to drink out of the cup.
So when is that? I'm available next year.
You're in. Hey, you're in. You're invited. And so, so now let's turn the page and talk about the triple track, your involvement in that, and how that's been a game changer.
It's been a huge game changer. Ray Barrett, who's a very, very special man that we lost a couple of years ago, who started Wilshire sandwiches back in the day, and then got involved in the medical business. He knew Jay Randolph Sr. and called me because Jay Sr. called me because Ray Barrett had come up with this idea, and the idea was he's playing golf with Mr. Suntrup and a couple of the older guys when they were like 78, 80 years old, and they'd hit it and they couldn't. They said, where'd it go? Because they couldn't see it. Well, Ray got talking to his wife about, she's an interior decorator, and she said, well, put some colored lines on the ball. So they put the lines on the ball, and they'd hit it, and they go, where'd it go? They still didn't see it. But Ray said they all putted better. So Ray Barrett is the greatest guy he is. He went and hired Carl Bassi from University of Missouri St. Louis, who's a PhD in optometry, and told him about this idea. And Carl said, well, you're talking about vernier acuity of the eyeball, which has got 3 cones, and you talk about alignment, which is an art. And so from there, Ray hired Carl to do it with Carl in his classes, and they proved scientifically that you have these 3 lines, 2 different colors. The distance of the thickness of the lines is important. The distance between the lines is important. You can improve your putting by 10 to 12%. And I liked it because I always put a line on my ball to help me line up my putt. And as some people say, oh, I still can't. I said, yes, but you have to learn how to read a green.
Right. Yeah.
If you don't read the green properly.
Doesn't matter where you line.
And so that's one of the good things about Augusta, because that's where I really learned how to read greens. And so I took it to Titleist because we represented the Acushnet Rubber Company, who started Titleist. They liked it, but the legal aspects of it was going to be too hard. So Chip Brewer is a good friend of mine, the CEO of Callaway Golf. He likes science, and we took it out there and we proved it to him. And he said, because Ray had 5 patents on it, and so Chip bought the rights to the patents, and it started out pretty slow. But then when Phil Nicholson played in a tournament and shot 61 using the triple track, it just went crazy. And so it's still
the red and blue lines on the Callaway ball,
right? You can. It's just got to be 2 different colors. Yeah. All the lines I have are red and blue, but red and black actually. No, red and blue. So how am I doing? Red and blue. So it's It's been very successful. I use it, and I'll get you some to tell me how good. But if you can't use those you and I are going to play a match.
We won't.
But no,
if you're on my team, though, you can.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. But it's a great story, and the ball's been very successful. And
I had no idea that it started out of St. Louis.
Started in St. Louis, Missouri.
That's incredible. That's one of the biggest changes in golf, I think, in recent years. Don't you think?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now he's got patents on it, and they have now bought the family out. They paid for the patents, and so. But if you notice, TaylorMade, Titleist, everybody's coming out with some kind of piece on the golf ball to help with alignment.
Yeah, well, that AVX, that's why the Titleist AVX, right. I like, it's got those lines on it. So it helps. That's
what they're doing.
All out of St. Louis, Missouri. I love it. Best golf tournament and why?
Best golf tournament?
Yeah, just if you had to pick. Obviously you got the Masters, right? I think most people that love golf would say the Masters. But if we can't pick that one, what's the best golf tournament out there?
Well, then I'd have to think that the Open Championship overseas.
Yeah.
Those golf courses over there are spectacular, and Tom Fazio is a very good friend of mine, and we have good conversation about architectural. But I just love all the natural ability over there, and we have so many good golf courses here in the United States as well. But to go play in the Open Championship, particularly at St. Andrews,
it's hard to beat.
I mean, it's history, and you just can't beat that. I mean, but obviously, the Masters going to Augusta National, that's probably that's what everybody would say. But the U.S. Opens, I love them. I've had a chance to play in one, but I just think golf over there. That's why if I'd won the British Amateur in '83, I would have got a chance to play in the Open Championship at St. Andrews in '84.
Oh.
And Philip Parker and the gentleman that beat me, we talk about it all the time.
He lets you know about it.
He lets me know.
I was trying to look it up. I can't remember. Tamarack Golf Course over here. Have you ever heard of Tamarack Golf Course?
I have.
Do you remember who designed that course?
I do not. I should, but I don't.
I'll come up with it later, I think. But it was... I'm trying to think. It was like maybe a Pete Dye. Does that sound right? Maybe I can't remember. Whoever it was, it's a massive golf course designer, and that was his first golf course he designed. Was right there.
I see all those
Bob
things
Golby brought him to town because Bob Golby, who won the '77 Masters, 77, I think.
I did an exhibition with he and Sam Snead at a place called St. Clair Golf Club.
No way.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
Well, it was I'd played in the Masters, and I'd met Mr. Golby, and I'd actually met Mr. Golby, and when I qualified, when I played in the district at Westwood Country Club, he came out to watch PJ. I can't think of PJ's last name. It's terrible. One of his good friends, and I got a chance to meet Mr. Golby, and then at the Masters, I got a chance, and so he said, "Hey, Jim, would you consider playing on an exhibition with me and Sam Snead?" I said, "Are you kidding, Mr. Golby?" So we went, and it was great, and walking off the 17th tee at St. Clair, I think is a pretty good
par four, dogleg left. Yeah, if it's same 17 than it was then.
I think so. And back then the only reason I had any success was I could hit a 1-iron.
Okay.
I grew up at Westboro Country Club. We had 6 par 3s, so I was a good iron player. Yeah. But I could hit this 1-iron, and I hit it off the 18th, and Mr. Snead comes and pulls this 1-iron. He says, "Jim, if I were you, I'd never hit lumber again." And so he said, "What?" I said, "Mr. Snead," I said, it's just I can hit it, and I got confidence in it, and I can do it. That's why in the '81 Masters, I played against Mr. Palmer, and walking off the 18th green, I hit a 280 right down the middle. Mr. Palmer says, "Jim, what is this thing?" And I said, "Mr. Palmer, I'm playing with my golf idol. I'm 200 par in the Masters. I'm tied for second place in the Masters. Are you kidding me?"
Yeah, we're not pulling out driver.
So, so Mr. Golby was very nice to me.
That's awesome. Yeah, him, Jay Haas out there, and It's cool. There was a kid, I'm going to draw a blank of his name. He just won a tournament this year, just a few weeks ago. Played golf at Wake Forest for Jay Haas's brother. And got his Jerry got his first victory. But he was at St. Clair this summer, came out, shot with another Wake Forest teammate. I'm drawing a blank on that kid's name too. But he was out there and played in a tournament in St. Louis this summer. That's why he was in town and got his first PGA Tour victory.
Wow. I should know that because my really good friend Tom Case was an All-American at Wake Forest.
Michael Brennan. Yeah. So Michael Brennan just won. So he just went out there and shot like a ho-hum 65 or 66 and, made a bogey on a hole. It was like, next level. But best golf course, not named Augusta.
I'd say I'm going to get in trouble.
You just say, next question, Brett.
What
course should I go?
If the Lord told me I had one round left, I would say I'd go back to Pine Valley Golf Club.
Yeah.
The
logo on your shirt.
I'm very fortunate. I'm a member at Boone Valley, at Westboro, at Bellerive, at Dalhousie, and a couple other courses around the country. I'm very fortunate. But one of my favorite golf courses is St. Louis Country Club. Mm-hmm. And I would tell you that the hardest golf course I ever played I thought was going to be Wingfoot, but it turned out to be Oakmont. And I will tell you that I probably need to change from Pine Valley to Cypress Point because in 1981 at the Walker Cup, which the Walker Cup was at Cypress Point this past September,
15-9.
That's where I hit the greatest golf shot of my life. And we went back there. I went there I actually did an interview with myself, Hal Sutton, and Jim Nance on Tuesday night. Great conversation. Hal was on our team. But I hit the greatest golf shot of my life on one of the hardest par threes in the world. And we tied 17. I won the match 2 up. And Bill Campbell comes running at me and he says, "You just won us the winning point for the Walker Cup team." So
gives me chills.
Cypress Point is just it's so much meant to me. And when we went back out there, and I had a chance to play with my 2 sons, and it was so I'm probably going to be thinking more about that. It's probably got to be Cypress Point because it's one of the
a lot of emotional memories there.
Yes.
Yeah. That's incredible. Arnold Palmer or John Daly? And I mean the drink. I was thinking about golf. You said you're having more fun now. Maybe you're going to have the John Daly drink versus the Arnold Palmer drink.
Well, I've played with both of them.
Okay. There's a picture of John Daly right there on the wall. I played in the Ascension Charity Classic, and he was the group. We were the last 2 on the putting green together. I won't say on the podcast what he said, but he a man of many words, as we can say.
1995 U.S. Open at a place called Shinnecock. I was volunteered to work with the USGA, and I had my older son then, who at that time was like 11 years old. We were working in the locker room, and that's when they came up to me and said, "What are you doing tomorrow?" And I said, "Well, we're going to go out and maybe watch a little golf." And said, "Well, we need somebody to play with John Daly because when the qualifying, after Friday, we got an open spot, and we don't want him to tee off by himself because he'll play too quick." And I said, "Well, okay, I'll go play," because I never played Shinnecock. And my son caddied for me, and we just had a ball. He wasn't drinking then. He was very, very nice. He drank about, 18 Diet Cokes that day. We played in 2 hours and 47 minutes.
Wow.
And we just had a great time. But there's nothing like playing with Mr. Palmer.
Yeah.
I played in 1980, my first Masters, I played a practice round with he and Greg Norman.
Oh, my gosh.
And Andy Bean.
Andy Bean.
And we had a great time. We had a great time, and then Mr. Palmer and I went and played the short course. We got kicked off the the master's course on Wednesday because we were late. We were late teeing off, and so on the 13th hole, Hort Harden came over and told us that we had to get off because the maintenance was going to take care of the golf course. It may not be Hort Harden. That might be wrong. But anyway, so we went to play the short course, and we played that, and he was just very nice. But then I got paired with him on Thursday in 1981, and it's one of the most unbelievable rounds of golf. I'm playing with Arnold Palmer at Augusta National, and I shot 70. I mean, I played great.
Pretty well. That's awesome. That's awesome. What excites you most now about the future? What are you still hungry for?
Brett, that's a really hard question because that's, I'm going to be 78 in a few days, and life's just taken on a different meaning for me. I don't play competitive golf, but my ego gets in the way and says, you can go play with those guys. Well, I played with some of those guys at the Jackson, and I played with my two sons. They're hitting it 70, 80 yards past me.
This is so humbling.
I mean, it's unbelievable how far they're hitting it. And but I just want to do good things. I want to give back and try to help and just do the right things.
Yeah,
that's what's most important. I've been very supportive of Walker Cup, and I'm always going to try to go to a Walker Cup for the rest of my life as long as I can. One thing I'm supposed to be humble and not braggadocious, but I don't think you know about it. So it just happened at the Walker Cup that I was taken off to the side on Thursday night at the big dinner by a couple gentlemen from the Rowan Inch Golf Club of St. Andrews to tell me that I was an official member of the Rowan Inch Golf Club of St. Andrews.
Wow.
They gave me the tie and they gave me the letter.
That's amazing.
So I got to figure out a way to get over there in 2026 and go witness it firsthand and take my two sons and take some friends and so it's golf has been so good to me. It's the biggest, playing for your country. Like I said, it's the biggest honor. But I cried for an hour and a half because I know my dad would he would be beside himself that I just became a member of the Rowan Inch Golf Club of St. Andrews. And I always tell the story that when I went over and scouted out Royal Aberdeen in 2011, I got Peter Dawson, got myself and one of my biggest customers to go play St. Andrews on July 10th of 2010. And my caddy walks up to me at St. Andrews and says, "Captain," he says, "do you know how old this golf course is today?" And I said, "Yeah, it's 300, 400. He said, "Today it's 600 years old."
Wow.
In 1410, somebody was teeing off. I mean, it just blew my mind.
Yeah.
And so I always talk about it with friends from I meet all over the place. I said, "So where will golf be 600 years from today?"
Yeah.
In 26, 25, where will it be?
Yeah.
And so, it's
a valid question.
That's just where I get emotional about it because the game has been so good to me, and I've met so many good people around the country, around the world, and it would have never happened had it not been for golf and for some of the success I had, and it just wouldn't happen.
Yeah. Well, you're a damn good man, and that's why good things happen to good people. And I think that's a belief that we would both have, right? Good things happen to good people. So
well, you're very kind. I got to keep doing the right things and doing and giving back, like Mr. Palmer told me to do.
That's right. Well, thank you so much. There's a million places you could be besides sitting here in the studio of the Circuit of Success. So we're very thankful to have you,
Brett. It's an honor. I love talking about the game of golf. Sometimes I'm sure I get some of my friends probably say, "Hey, you just keep saying the same thing." I said, "Well, I know, but it's just been one of the greatest. It's the greatest highlight of my life."
Yeah.
So
Well, thank you so much for sharing the
Well, Brett,
stories.
well, thank you very much, sir.
Appreciate it.